Murthy, and I'm the founder of the Interview Portal, which is a career guidance initiative for school students and undergraduates who are not very sure about what they want to do in their life. So, in the first session today, I'm going to talk about career choices and career selection guidelines for school students, especially for those students in the ninth standard or 10th standard before they have made the choice of streams which you're supposed to make after 10th. Now I want to give them very interesting insights into selecting career rather than the typical way of going for engineering or medical, selecting a particular college, writing an exam. Those are all very important in life, but for a ninth or 10th standard student, what is important is to understand the big picture, which is what area of work they want to be involved in, what we call area of interest. Everyone as kids has an area of interest, right? Some of them are hobbies and temporary, but some of the hobbies are kind of permanent. They remain with them. These children grow up with those hobbies, so those hobbies are kind of a hint of what you could do with those hobbies, and transform those hobbies into a successful career, right? Because your career is going to be almost 40 years, so you need to sustain yourself for 40 years, and the only way to do it if you are interested in what you're doing. So today we are going to look at a few areas of interest which students can really pursue based on what they like. So we'll start with the first area of interest, which is agriculture, which is probably one of the most important areas for mankind, but has not been given due credit. So let's quickly scroll down. So this is the interview portal. You can see the website, and here if you scroll down, you get to see all the areas, and here you see agriculture and farming. So let me click on that and let me go into agriculture and farming to see what kind of opportunities are there. Here you see several several interviews of people who are doing different things. The first is the interview of a winemaker who's making wine from grapefruit, right? Wine is a long process, but starts with the basic raw material, which is grapes, and those grapes are fermented for a long time, and then available in the form of wine. So for that we need to work with farmers to sow the right kind of grape seeds and get the right kind of grapes for making wine. The second area is corporate sustainability. Today a lot of businesses, like soft drinks and fruit based businesses, require good farming practices, sustainable farming practices to get the raw materials that they want. So many of the private companies which are dealing with food and beverages are actually hiring corporate sustainability professionals who can get the required raw materials for the company in a sustainable way, so that they don't deplete all the natural resources. For example, Pepsi and thumbs up, these companies, Pepsi company is actually uses a lot of water for their soft drinks. So they know that if water is not available, or the water is not available for the society as a whole, they are not going to be able to run their business. So it's very important to hire corporate sustainability people, professionals who can actually work with farmers and work with other people who are providing these raw materials to make sure it is done in a sustainable way for these companies. Now a few other careers in agriculture. You have genomics, plant genomics. This is a research area where you do a PhD. We all know that now, because of changing climate, a lot of plants are not able to grow well or not able to deliver crops because of changing climate patterns. So this plant genomics is an example of a research area where this professional is actually working to see what kind of adaptations are to be done in plants genetically to ensure that they're able to sustain in these extreme environments and unpredictable environments. So one of the career paths to go to this research area is do your BSc, MSc in agriculture, and then you do your PhD in genomics, plant genomics. That is uncovering the genetic traits of a plant and trying to see how those genetic traits can be enhanced to build resilience against climate change. Next, we have the next interview in agriculture. We have is, so we have several interviews here. This is an example, an environmental microbiologist who's actually trying to solve the situation of pollution by using biofuels. We know today our vehicles or automobiles, all of them are dependent on biofuel or dependent on petrol and diesel, which are actually polluting our environment. So the environmental microbiologist is trying to use a lot of different raw materials which can replace fossil fuels and make the planet greener, right? So these are all, there are a lot more plant pathologists, there is agricultural scientists, there's agricultural data scientists. I'm not going to go through this, I'll probably cover this in the next section. This is also an example of an MBA professional in agriculture who's doing logistics management. When we go to shops to buy various things, right, how do we get those things? What, for example, if we want to buy dry seeds, now all these different kinds of spices come from different countries, different states, right? So if you want to be involved in managing the operations of these or the logistics of this business, you can do an MBA in agricultural management and make sure that the supply chain of agriculture is not disrupted. In today's times, like with coronavirus, we know how important supply chain is, right? So this is an excellent area which deals with supply chain, agriculture supply chain. Next, we are going to look at another area, which is food. Again, we need food for a sustainable planet, right? So let's click on food and beverages to see what kind of many of these interviews will overlap, because winemaking also comes under food as it comes under agriculture as well as corporate sustainability. Here we talk about food scientist. Food scientist is a person who actually, when we go to a supermarket or when we go to a retail store, we actually see different kinds of foods available. Some of them are ready to eat foods, some of them are flavored foods. Like if you want to buy Lay's chips, you have Lay's chips in multiple flavors, for example tomato flavor, onion flavor, garlic flavor, right? So you have several ready to eat foods like pizzas, like Maggi noodles. Food scientists are the people who actually work on creative ideas to come up with new types of food. We know our world today is so busy that people don't even have time to cook, which is not good. Of course they do, but sometimes when they come late from work, it would be great to have nutritional food that is also ready made and easy to eat, right? So food scientists are the people who work on these kind of challenges, coming up with ready to eat foods, coming up with different flavors of foods, and also coming up with nutritional value. We know that in today's world we have so many diseases, right? How do we make sure that mankind is developing immunity to those diseases? So you also have food scientists who work with adding various ingredients to food that can enhance the nutritional value of the food. So here also we have food scientists, food technologists, beer brewing. If you want to brew beer, that is also comes under the area of food and microbiology, right? You use barley seed, which is a cash crop, which is fermented to form beer. So again, food technology is an extremely creative area in science. You have food scientists, which is more research oriented, and food technologies are employed by all these companies that you see. If you buy ready-made curd, you buy cheese, you get butter, Amul butter. All these companies hire food technologists who can come up with new products that complement the existing product line. Next, let's go to automobiles, another interesting area for kids. So these are all areas of interest where kids can really look at the bigger picture of what you can do and then build their career according to those. Here I'm going to first talk about design, automobile color design, trim design. We are all fascinated with cars, right? We actually look at a car. When we look at a car, we don't look at the engine, we look at the color of the car. A red car looks so nice, a black car looks so nice, right? When we open the car and look inside, we look at the trim colors, the colors of the upholstery, dashboard. So this person is actually working for a car company in the area of color design. He actually comes up with new colors for cars to market them. So you won't believe it, but our inclination to buy a car depends a lot on the color of the car as well, because different cars look, the same car looks differently in different colors. So we all have our inclination to our colors. Some of us like blue, some of us like green, some of us like black. So this person does a lot of market research, and he's a designer. He's done his design in National Institute of Design in accessories design. Accessories design is when you build a car, the accessories in the car are the upholstery, the seats, and all these leather interiors. All those have colors, right? The colors make a big difference. So this person is employed by an automobile company to come up with different color designs that are appealing to the customer. Let's go down a little and see what are the other areas in automobiles. You have industrial designer, tire researcher. This is a very interesting area. Tire researcher is basically the most important or the critical component of any car is the tire, because tires touch the road, right? And we know how bad it is when you have a flat tire. So this person, tire researcher, actually studied physics, and then they did his PhD in IIT Kharagpur, which was funded by Seat Tires. Seat Tires, you know Seat Tires, right? So he comes up with new types of compounds that can be used in tires to prevent punctures, to make it last longer. Again, another fantastic area related to automobiles. So as you can see, all these interviews here are related to automobiles. So go through them, and once you understand which area of automobiles you like, you can actually try to understand what these persons studied, where they studied, what area they studied to get to where they are today. Next, let us look at renewable energy, another fantastic area for the future. Renewable energy, as you all know, is basically going to be the job of the future, because everyone needs to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy. The first example here is a biofuel researcher. This person actually did his chemical engineering, and then did his PhD in applied research. He's come up with a way to use microalgae to actually convert them into biofuels, biodiesel. Now he's testing his what he's doing. He's working at TERI here in India in the research wing, to see if this process can be scaled at the industrial level to come up with biofuel from algae. If that can be done, microalgal from microalgals, if that can be done, then that is a pollution free way of replacing fossil fuels. The next person is actually a data scientist in renewable energy. You know, the biggest challenge with renewable energy today is the availability of renewable energy and the reliability. Why? Because if we take solar energy, solar energy is dependent on the sun. If the sun goes down, or the energy of the sun becomes weaker, for example at 4 o'clock during the day, because it is cloudy, your power output is going to be low. So this person actually works for a company that tries to forecast the availability, continuous availability of energy based on the weather patterns for the next week or month. This information is very useful for energy distributors, who can use that information to decide how much of the energy can be used from natural resources, and how much of them can be used from conventional resources like the power grid that exists today. Again, though this person is not doing research, they are using the power of data, they are using the power of modeling weather, to make sure that next 1 week, for example, if they realize that it's going to rain, they will be able to calculate using the model what percentage of energy can be used from the weather, that is the sun or the wind, as compared to traditional sources of energy. Again, here you have solar energy below. If you scroll down, solar energy engineer, then you have nuclear fusion. Nuclear energy is also one more source. This person is actually using the concept of nuclear fusion to create energy equivalent to the power of the sun. This is a research area. And this is experimental stage, not yet industrial scale. But again, these are all fascinating areas in renewable energy. Let's next go to sports, because I know, as you all know, Many of you are interested in a career in sports, so let's click sports. In sports, you have some fantastic careers. Biomechanics. We all know that India is now at the cusp of sports performance, excellence in sports performance. So we need a lot of biomechanical professionals who can work with athletes, work with sports professionals to understand how to make their body more efficient, because a sports person goes through a lot of stress, physical stress, right? So sports biomechanics professionals are like allied healthcare professionals who can help athletes reach their maximum potential. So this person is also called a sports scientist. So you don't, it's a sports career doesn't mean you have to be only an athlete or a sportsman. You can even be people helping them, and you can build a career. That way you are happy to be involved in sports and also help athletes, help sportsmen reach their maximum potential. Next is sports materials. Here, sports innovation, very interesting area. This person is a materials engineer who's working with Adidas. You all know Adidas. You wear Adidas shoes, Adidas t-shirts. He comes up with investigating sustainable materials to make new shoes from. All of us know that sustainability is a big challenge for us today, right? So he works with in the Adidas product development team to come up with new and sustainable materials to make shoes, to make apparels, and all those different kinds of things, right? Then you have another angle of sports is sports psychologist. We all know that very important part of sports is psychology. You have to really be able to condition sportsmen to deal with mental stress. So this person is a sports psychologist. He works with sportsmen to build mental capacity, to make sure that they're able to hold their nerve in the most important stages. So I'm going to stop here. I just wanted to give you all an overview of what are the possibilities, but this is pretty much it. Let's I'm going to schedule one more session here, but hopefully you like this session. Thanks a lot.